Um, Jason, I think if we start with you, and let me congratulate you on the film, first of all. It's your fifth feature film, your third adapted from a book, from a novel. But I wondered what it was about Joyce Maynard's novel that inspired you to transfer this story to the big screen.
You know, it's always such a tricky question to answer, because I don't think there was anything at the time that it made me go, oh, I've been looking for this exact movie. In fact, my producer, Helen Esterbrook, when she gave it to me, she said, this is unlike anything you've ever done and doesn't resemble anything you've ever said you want to do, but I just have a feeling you're going to love this. And that was the absolute truth. I started reading the book, it started coming to life in my head, and by the end I'd fallen in love with the story and wanted to make it, but I was really scared because it was different from anything I'd ever done.
And Kate and Josh, we could talk a little bit just about your characters to get the ball rolling. I mean, you play the agoraphobic Adele and the escaped prisoner, Frank. They're very, very scared individuals, but they seem to need each other. I mean, what is it in each of them that speaks to the other one? Kate?
He's got the shakes from jet lag, so I'll go first.
I do.
You know, it's really funny because a lot of people have asked, I think all of us, this question, and I think we both have our own set of sort of, you know, private answers in a way that we probably were using when we were making the film. But I suppose the almost honest answer is, it's one of those great unknowable things, you know, that what is it that ever attracts one person to another person? What is it that ever really draws you to somebody else without you having necessarily any control over it? I mean, I certainly think for Adele the more obvious things perhaps were that she simply hasn't been near a man for a very long time and hasn't been in a position where she has even had to think about trusting somebody. And I think for whatever reason, and that is I think how Joyce wrote it, she does find herself trusting in the most unlikely of men, and realizes, I think, very quickly, shush.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You'll have your turn in a minute.
I'm sorry.
And I think she realizes very quickly one thing that I think Joyce, in writing the book, probably hoped for from her readers, and I'm sure that Jason did of the audience too, is that she can see that he is a good person. She can actually really acknowledge that and trust in that and just go with the honesty of that feeling that she has, that instinctive feeling that she has. And I found myself a lot actually, because obviously taking this man into her home, into her car, is so completely bizarre and appears to be irrational. And I would find myself trying to find reasons for her actions at times and thinking, okay, I need to figure this out for myself. What is it? And actually, sometimes I couldn't. And so what I would do was just play the sort of motherly, instinctive honesty of that moment. She's standing there opposite a very menacing-looking man who has his hand on the back of her child's neck, and I think all she thinks is, I need to just say yes so I can get my son back by my side, without actually thinking what might happen 10 seconds later. It's kind of a garbled way of answering the question.
No, but I think along those same lines, is you have somebody who's been imprisoned for 19 years, who's just escaped from prison, and is not necessarily a criminal mind, even though he's committed this horrible crime, but unintentionally so. And then you put him together with a woman who's been imprisoned, emotionally imprisoned, for as long as she has. And, you know, people say, oh, how unlikely this is. I've heard it a couple of times. This is not very likely that this would happen. And then you go in to go, you know, watch Jurassic Park, and you go, but this would? So, from the DNA of our ice cube, we create a romance that's, you know, it is indeed a movie. But I think it represents a lot of things for us and how far we've gone in our own emotional needs, you know, and the standards that we create for ourselves in love, and living up to those standards, and looking back in hindsight and all the relationships that we've been in and all the wacky things that we've done. This is not really that far-fetched, you know, at least for me, emotionally. Then again, look at my life.